2025 and beyond are packed with open-world games that look insanely good. We're talking photoreal cities, massive fantasy worlds, so detailed you won't believe it's actually a game. Whether you're into survival, sci-fi, medieval swordplay, or just roaming around beautiful places, this list has something for you. Here are 20 upcoming open-world games with stunning graphics you seriously need to see. Plan 8 is a futuristic MMO shooter from Pearl Abyss, the same studio behind Black Desert, but this time they're kind of stepping away from fantasy RPGs and moving into more of a tactical third-person shooter space. It's co-created with Min Lei, the guy who helped make Counter-Strike, so there's definitely some shooter pedigree here. Plan 8 drops you into this exosuit warfare setup, and the customization's actually pretty deep. Each exosuit plays differently. Some are built for speed, others are just like pure tank mode with heavy weapons. And it's not just for show, you can customize your entire loadout even down to the barrel and ammo type. The world's open and massive, and it looks like there's some narrative stuff baked in too, but since the 2019 reveal, development's been kinda slow. Pearl Abyss has been focusing more on Crimson Desert and Dokkan-V lately, so Plan 8's release window is still pretty fuzzy. Still, if you're into shooters with gear systems and MMO mechanics, this might be something to keep an eye on. Alkahest is a dark fantasy action RPG developed by Push On. It's set in this medieval kingdom that's basically falling apart, and you play as the youngest son of a noble family, just kind of thrown into chaos after these goblin raids hit your land. But instead of typical magic systems, the game gives you something way more interesting: alchemy. Combat's all about physics and improvisation. You can knock enemies off cliffs, set off traps, crush them with falling trees, or just chuck explosives mid-fight. Everything reacts to everything, so each encounter feels, pretty wild and strategic. And alchemy isn't just some side gimmick, it's like your main toolkit. You can brew poisons, fire bombs, stealth potions, even oils that change how your weapons work. If you're sneaky enough, you can literally slip toxins into enemy pockets. Kinda messed up, but also kinda cool. It's built with semi-open, handcrafted maps, so there's no pointless filler. Everything you explore or interact with actually matters. It takes inspiration from stuff like Dark Messiah and Kingdom Come, focusing more on grounded, reactive combat instead of over-the-top fantasy stuff. There's no release date yet, but it's coming to PC and consoles. And honestly, from what we've seen, this might be one of those sleeper hits worth watching. Crimson Desert is this ambitious, open-world action RPG from Pearl Abyss. The same team behind Black Desert. It dropped in early access on March 21st, 2025, and it's aiming for that mix of cinematic storytelling and deep strategic combat in this massive, war-torn world. You play as Macduff, a sharpshooter and mercenary leader who's, haunted by his past, but still bound by some code of honor. The world of Pywell isn't just a backdrop, it reacts to what you do. Your choices shape alliances, fuel conflicts, even shift how the land develops. It's running on a new version of the Pearl Abyss engine, and the visuals are wild. You get these sweeping battlefields, brutal sieges, and really intimate character moments, all in crazy detail. Combat's not about button mashing either. Swordplay, ranged stuff, even storm magic, all of it blends smoothly, but it really rewards timing and planning. And the world? It's lawless but gorgeous. Think desert cities, old ruins by the sea, wide open plains covered in wreckage. You'll build your caravan, recruit people, take over cities. It's part tactics, part survival, part story-driven RPG. So if you're into gritty, reactive world building with slow burn combat and choices that actually stick, Crimson Desert might just be what you've been waiting for. Arc 2 is a survival action-adventure sequel from Studio Wildcard. The game picks up humanity's struggle in this wild mashup of sci-fi and dinosaurs, and it's as chaotic as it sounds. Built in Unreal Engine 5, it seriously levels up everything, from how creatures move to the way environments look and react. Every dinosaur, whether it's a T-Rex, raptor, or some massive amphibian, has believable behavior and even reacts differently based on species. The main loop's still about taming, surviving, and building, but now, the base building goes way deeper. You can upgrade your structures, power them up, even defend with drones or tamed beasts, Farms, tech hubs, towers, they're all part of your survival strategy. Vehicles are a big deal now too. You've got Land Rovers, hovercrafts, even mobile bases strapped to dinos. And the map? It's huge. Think glaciers, dense rainforests, volcanic zones. You'll be moving around a lot. Multiplayer feels seamless this time around with persistent worlds and full crossplay. Plus, the story from the first game? It's actually evolving. You'll uncover alien tech, and your choices really matter. They affect the world, the loot, even how dinos behave around you. So if you're into managing a base, exploring dangerous biomes, and messing with deep dino ecology, Ark 2 honestly looks like a massive step forward for the sandbox survival genre. God Save Birmingham is a medieval zombie survival simulator set in 14th century England. You play as a lone survivor in plague-ravaged Birmingham, navigating ruined villages overrun by undead townsfolk using only your wits. Powered by Unreal Engine 5, the game emphasizes physics-based survival. Stack furniture to barricade doors, trip zombies with fences, block pathways with barrels, and even decapitate limbs to slow down the horde. Hunger, thirst, exhaustion, and confusion all factor into your chances of life or death. Gameplay switches dynamically between third-person exploration and first-person interaction when scavenging or crafting. Almost every item, bread, tools, nails, is usable, forcing you to improvise weapons and build defenses on the fly. The world is a faithful recreation of medieval Birmingham, with accurate locations like St. Martin in the Bull Ring. Early access will begin on PC first, eventually expanding to consoles. The full launch promises campaign content, expanded map zones, and new survival mechanics. If you're craving sandbox horror grounded in brutal realism and soaked in medieval dread, these brummy zombies are waiting. Hell Is Us is a third-person action-adventure set in this war-torn country that's been completely sealed off. And now it's like crawling with supernatural threats. You're not some hero or soldier, you're just someone on a personal mission, chasing answers tied to a past that's, honestly, still a mystery. It's built in Unreal Engine 5 by Rogue Factor and published by Naken, and yeah, it's doing things a little differently. No waypoints, no quest markers, you're expected to explore, pick up on clues, and figure things out on your own. Combat? It's tight, all about timing, smart movement, and using these weird weapons that feel custom-made for, well, whatever these twisted creatures are. You've got limited ammo, no tutorials holding your hand, just you, your instincts, and what you've got on you. Visually, the game's got this bleak but haunting beauty. Abandoned towns, foggy forests, ruined monuments crawling with anomalies. Everything looks broken. And it's not just about the monsters. The game digs into human conflict, trauma, and the stuff we bury. So yeah, when it drops on PS5, Xbox Series XS, and PC in 2025, expect something a little heavier than your usual action title. The Blood of Dawnwalker drops you into this grim, plague-ridden kingdom where humanity's right on the edge. You play as Cohen, a man turned half-vampire given just 30 in-game days to save his family, or deal with the fallout if you fail. Thing is, time only moves after major quests, so yeah, every choice feels heavy. During the day, you're working with sword combat and runic magic. But once night hits, Cohen's vampiric side takes over. You get lethal powers, Shadow Step, those blood-torn claws, the whole package. Still, if you push them too hard without feeding, you can totally lose control. You might even hurt NPCs you actually care about. What's wild is how the world shifts around you. Political alliances change, quests open or close, entire cities transform under the moonlight. And the endings? They branch depending on how you handle things, which means your morals really do matter. It's built in Unreal Engine 5 by a team of RPG veterans. And honestly, it feels like a narrative sandbox with grounded medieval lore, but layered with all this moral complexity. With vampiric powers, time-based choices, and a world that constantly responds, The Blood of Dawnwalker is shaping up to be one of the most atmospheric RPGs you'll get your hands on in 2026. Atomic Heart 2 picks up in this surreal alternate history Soviet Union, now totally reshaped after the chaos of the first game. It's developed by Mundfish in Unreal Engine, and yeah, they're doubling down on that mix of first-person action, psychic powers, and total robot mayhem. Your arsenal's kinda wild. You're not just using guns. You're tearing bots apart with telekinesis, yanking turrets off walls, or firing these weird electrified weapons made from scrap. The world reacts to everything too. Step on the wrong moss, and you might trigger hidden nodes. Move through certain zones, and enemies just shift how they behave. The environments? Super varied. You've got flooded factories, crystal-covered wastelands, glowing labs full of mutated plants. It's all physics-driven, with puzzles that don't really repeat themselves. Combat's fast, sometimes chaotic. One moment you're sneaking past drones, the next you're juggling grenades while flying around with a grappling hook. Progression ties into research trees, abilities, gear, even biomes. The further you go, the weirder it gets. You can mess with time, summon electric storms, or build plant-powered turrets. It's super systems heavy, but in a fun way. Neo Berlin 2087 is a cyberpunk action RPG set in this dystopian version of Berlin, and you play as Luke, a hacker mercenary loaded with high-end augmentations. It's built in Unreal Engine 5, and the game leans into this mix of stealth, gunplay, and hacking, all wrapped in a neon-lit city that, actually reacts to your choices. Combat's pretty dynamic. You're not just firing bullets. Firefights cause real environmental damage, and with the right cyber abilities, you can mess with enemies or even bend the battlefield in your favor. Want to go loud? Grab smart rifles, nano shields, go full assault. Prefer to stay quiet? Thermal camo and drone hacks have you covered. But the city? It's more than just a backdrop. It feels alive. You've got glitching billboards, shifting robot zones, and decisions that change how people, or machines, treat you. You'll be breaking into vaults, cutting deals with rogue factions, or just running ops that no one's supposed to know about. Visually, it's kind of insane. Think volumetric fog, ray-traced reflections, rain-slick streets, all glowing with color. Every shot feels like, honestly, a sci-fi wallpaper in motion. With deep upgrade trees, branching missions, and this killer synth-heavy soundtrack, Neo Berlin 2087 isn't just showing off. It's building a world you'll want to mess with, break into, and totally reshape. Beast of Reincarnation is Game Freak's bold move outside the Pokemon universe. You play as Emma, a cursed, blighted one, making her way through a post-apocalyptic Japan with only her canine companion Ku by her side. Combat's tight and technical. It's all about sharp swordplay, well-timed parries, and takedowns you pull off with Ku's help. And as their bond grows stronger, Emma starts unlocking these weird plant-based sealing powers, stuff that changes how you fight and how you move through the world. The world itself? It's stunning, but also unsettling. You'll be walking through corrupted forests that, suddenly collapse into wastelands. Machines aren't just background. They create hazards and mess with the environment in real time. Exploration actually matters here. The way you interact with Ku, when you explore, what choices you make, it all shifts how the game plays out. Visually, it's got this eerie Ghibli meets Decay vibe. Think overgrown ruins mixed with rusted tech. The enemies are just as weird. Mutated plants, yokai spirits, rogue machines, all designed to test your reflexes and strategy. It's a one-player, one-dog journey with real narrative weight and demanding action. Launching day one on Xbox Game Pass, Beast of Reincarnation looks like a serious step forward for Game Freak. Something way deeper, way darker, and honestly, kinda exciting. Number 11. Light No Fire. Light No Fire is currently in development by Hello Games, the same studio that made No Man's Sky. This new project is aiming to blend fantasy, survival, and seamless multiplayer exploration across a planet that's literally Earth-sized and fully explorable. So, there's no confirmed release date just yet, but the game is targeting a 2025 launch, even though development's still kind of in the early stages. Early gameplay previews have shown off things like cooperative exploration, fantasy creatures, shipbuilding, and, some really massive terrain traversal. What's interesting is that the developers are focusing on storytelling through discovery rather than giving you a bunch of linear missions. You can expect full character customization, base building, survival mechanics tied to the environment, and a big emphasis on emergent storytelling. Multiplayer is also, totally central to the experience. Players can explore, build, and travel together without any real boundaries. If Hello Games actually pulls this off, Light No Fire could totally change how we think about open-world fantasy gaming. It's got the kind of scale and sense of adventure that, honestly, we haven't really seen before. Number 12, Soulframe. Soulframe is the next big game from Digital Extremes, the folks behind Warframe, but this time they're kind of moving away from sci-fi and going into mythic fantasy territory. The game really emphasizes melee combat, slow-paced exploration, and this kind of spiritual, atmospheric storytelling. Early access is expected sometime in 2025, and apparently closed testing is already underway for some players. The world of Soulframe feels really organic and mysterious. It's got ancient ruins, wild nature, and dreamlike environments. Combat is a lot more like Dark Souls than Warframe, meaning it's like heavier and more deliberate. Really personal. Multiplayer is still going to be part of it, but it'll be a lot more grounded and focused on the story. There's going to be mounts, puzzles, and this whole mechanic where you bond with spirits, which sounds pretty unique. The game also uses procedurally generated areas, and it'll get ongoing updates after launch. So yeah, if you're into story-rich RPGs with deep combat and a mystical vibe, Soulframe is looking like something special from Digital Extremes. Number 13. Project the Preceiver. Project the Preceiver is this really cool open-world martial arts RPG from a Chinese indie team called 17G Studio. It first grabbed people's attention with its incredible art style and like this mask-based transformation system that's honestly kind of wild. A full release will likely happen in late 2025, though nothing official has been confirmed yet. Combat is super dynamic. It mixes acrobatics and parrying with Souls-like mechanics. You use different masks to embody specific ideologies, which then give you new fighting styles and narrative paths. The game's set in a fictional version of ancient China and dives into themes like the collapse of dynasties, moral gray areas, and spiritual choices. Exploration looks pretty deep too, with stealth, parkour, and environments that react to what you do. Project the Preceiver really seems like it's trying to merge tight action with meaningful narrative, and it looks like one of those games that makes you think while also testing your reflexes. Number 14. Ballad of Antara. Ballad of Antara is an upcoming action RPG from Tipsworks, the team behind Pascal's Wager. It got revealed at the PlayStation Showcase, and people immediately compared it to Elden Ring and Sekiro because of its tone and Souls-like combat. It's set to launch in 2025, and the world is this dark fantasy realm split between reality and another dimension called Para. You'll control multiple characters throughout the game, and the storylines are interlinked, with emotional flashbacks adding depth to everything. Combat looks really tight and tactical, with giant bosses and a very cinematic approach to world design. Story themes center on suffering, healing, and memory, which gives it a bit more weight than just action for action's sake. Multiplayer is apparently in development too, but they haven't shared many details yet. If you're into stylish, story-driven Souls-likes, Ballad of Antara definitely feels like one to keep an eye on. Number 15. Dying Light the Beast. So while Techland hasn't officially announced this yet, there are rumors floating around that the next game in the Dying Light series might be called Dying Light the Beast. It looks like they're going deeper into supernatural territory, with more focus on mutations and transformation. There's no set release date, but based on Techland's dev timelines, 2026 is the most likely window. The core gameplay, zombie survival with parkour, is definitely staying, but they might be adding new infected powers and a narrative that focuses on how people evolve or mutate in that world. Multiplayer and co-op will almost certainly return, with better vertical gameplay, improved AI, and bigger zones to explore. We're also hearing about better visuals, environmental destruction, and scarier nighttime sequences. If even half of these leaks turn out to be real, the Beast could be like the boldest and weirdest Dying Light yet, with a mix of mutation, moral choices, and full-on chaos. Number 16. Gothic 1 Remake. The Gothic 1 Remake is a full-on reimagining of the 2001 cult RPG classic. It's being developed by Alchemia Interactive and published by THQ Nordic. They're keeping it faithful to the original in terms of story and tone, but they're completely modernizing the combat, visuals, and systems. It's currently aiming for a release in late 2024 or early 2025. You'll once again play as the nameless hero, navigating life inside a prison colony that's trapped under a magical barrier. Combat has been rebuilt from the ground up, now combining real-time action with proper RPG progression. The dialogue is now fully voice-acted, the quest system's been totally reworked, and there's even expanded faction content. New players will get to experience a gritty, choice-heavy world, and old fans will find loads of lore callbacks and Easter eggs. The goal is to keep the heart of the original, while making it feel accessible and totally fresh for modern audiences. Number 17, Where Winds Meet. Where Winds Meet is a wuxia-style open-world RPG from Everstone Studio, and it's set during the final days of China's Ten Kingdoms era. It combines martial arts action with historical fantasy and, interestingly, lifestyle simulation. There's no solid release date yet, but 2025 seems likely. The game emphasizes player freedom. You can be a swordsman, sure, but also a healer, a wandering scholar, or even a merchant. Combat is fast, fluid, and cinematic, with things like air dashes, sword clashes, and these powerful chi-based finishers. The world reacts to your actions, with dynamic quests, shifting political landscapes, and real-time weather. Visually, it's beautiful, very much inspired by classical Chinese art and old-school films. If they can really deliver everything they're teasing, Where Winds Meet might end up being the ultimate wuxia RPG. Number 18. Dune Awakening. Dune Awakening is a survival MMO based on the Dune universe, and it's being developed by Funcom. The goal is to blend survival sandbox mechanics with massive-scale political systems, which is super ambitious. It's set for release in 2025, though there's a chance we might get a beta sometime late 2024. You'll play as a character living on Arrakis, harvesting spice, dodging sandworms, and battling for dominance in this ever-shifting desert world. There'll be base building, crafting, PvE and PvP content, and character customization tied to the various factions from Dune lore. Expect extreme survival conditions, crazy weather systems, and a lot of player-driven storytelling. With connections to both the books and films, Dune Awakening could be one of the most lore-rich MMOs we've seen in years. Number 19, Atomfall. Atomfall is this upcoming survival action game from Rebellion, and it's got a really unique setup. Set in an alternate 1950s Britain, right after a fictional nuclear disaster, the game mixes creepy Cold War sci-fi with classic British mystery vibes. It's officially coming in 2025. You play as an investigator digging into a secret government experiment gone horribly wrong. You'll explore eerie villages, face mutated creatures, and, find plenty of old-school propaganda lying around. Gameplay blends stealth, crafting, and some light combat. It's not all-out action, it's more about tension, exploration, and choices that actually matter. The whole game leans into this retro sci-fi aesthetic that makes it feel very different from typical post-apocalyptic games. If you're a fan of Fallout, Stalker, or just love eerie British stories with a twist, Atomfall sounds like a perfect fit. Number 20. Chernobylite 2. Exclusion Zone The Farm. 51 is back with Chernobylite 2, Exclusion Zone, the direct sequel to their cult hit survival horror RPG. This one's going even deeper into psychological horror and non-linear storytelling. It's set to launch in 2025 and builds on everything from the first game, like crafting, survival mechanics, and relationship systems, but now with way more depth. You'll return to the radioactive wilderness of Chernobyl, but it's been expanded with new factions, horrifying mutated enemies, and dimensional rifts that kind of bend the rules of reality. One big new mechanic is this time loop system that ties into your past choices, so your decisions from earlier might literally come back to haunt you. Combat has been upgraded, the environment is way more reactive, and moral decisions feel even more personal. Chernobylite 2 wants to scare you, challenge your mind, and mess with your perception, all while telling a really smart, existential sci-fi story. Adventure is on the horizon. Get ready to explore sprawling, sun-soaked cities, journey through enchanted fantasy realms, and chart your own course through the far reaches of the galaxy. Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more journeys to come.